Hi, I'm Raina, and this is Mental Health TV. This week I'll be talking about representation of ADD and ADHD on television. Throughout this episode, I'll be referring to ADD and ADHD as simply ADHD. The way I've spelled it in the title of this video, AD/HD, essentially means ADD and or ADHD. There are three primary forms of ADHD. The first one is the primary combined type. This means that the person exhibits symptoms of inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. The second form of ADHD is called predominantly inattentive type, which means that the person exhibits symptoms of inattention, but not necessarily symptoms of either hyperactivity or impulsivity. The third type is predominantly hyperactive impulsive type, which means that the person exhibits multiple symptoms of hyperactivity and impulsivity with very few, if any, symptoms of inattention. So while there may be someone who has no trouble at all sitting still and paying attention in class, they may exhibit a lot of symptoms of hyperactivity and impulsive behavior. This week's episode is going to be a little bit different from previous week's episodes, and that's because representation of ADHD on television is very limited to one certain genre. Cartoons, like The Simpsons, King of the Hill, and South Park. Each one of these shows has had its own storyline relating to ADHD. However, in line with a lot of common misconceptions about ADHD, all of the characters who are diagnosed at one point or another are always children. This creates a stigma that children are the only ones who can have ADHD. The first show we're going to examine today is South Park, specifically its portrayal of the character Tweek. Tweek may or may not have ADHD, but we'll get into that later. Tweek is a character on South Park who's very jittery, who shakes constantly, who flinches a lot, has spasms, and who has a high-pitched voice, messy appearance, and often says things like, "I can't take that kind of pressure."
Hey, it's Tweek! Me? No, man! I don't want to be a god! That is way too much pressure! Okay, we have to do this stupid report, so... Could you help me across the street? I don't know you!
Other characters on the show think that Tweek's behavior is due to the fact that his parents let him drink coffee. However, when confronted with this, his parents say that he doesn't drink coffee, it's just ADHD. However, the character does drink coffee. South Park is clearly trying to make a commentary on the diagnosis of ADHD in children. Another show that tackles this issue is King of the Hill, with its character Bobby being diagnosed with ADHD in an episode after he eats a lot of sugary cereal. Bobby's behavior is actually very different from Tweek's. While Tweek is very jittery and jumpy, Bobby's behavior is very rude and impulsive, confrontational and aggressive.
All right, now as you all know, Mother's Day is coming up, and I thought it might be fun to talk about some of the famous moms throughout history who...
Own slaves.
No. What I was going to...
Going to say?
Yes, what I was going to say.
Going to say, we heard the preview, now get to the feature.
Bobby.
Bobby.
I think you better see the nurse.
Okay.
The third show I want to touch on today is The Simpsons. Bart is diagnosed in one episode called Brother's Little Helper with ADHD, and he's put on a medication called Focusine. Throughout the episode, Bart's impulsive behavior is maladjusted and, at times, illegal.
Your son is a ravenous demon, relentlessly gnawing at all that's good and true.
Yeah, he's something else, all right.
But worst of all, he drags down the grades of anyone who sits near him. Just look at this pattern.
Hey, that looks like Bart.
And turning to the 3D map, we see an unmistakable cone of ignorance.
Put it away.
Very well, but there's no escaping the truth. Bart has a classic case of attention deficit disorder.
You mean like John Leguizamo?
How should I know? The point is ADD makes children restless and easily distracted.
Hi, Marge, it's me, Homer. What, time to go?
Please, Mr. Simpson.
In a lot of previous episodes, I've been able to draw from comedies, from drama, from live action, from animation, shows for adults, shows for children. In this case, we're pretty narrowed down to one genre. Portrayal of ADHD on television is so generalized, it can only be found in literal cartoons. If you can think of any other examples of ADHD on television, I would love to hear them. You can either leave a comment below, or you can fill out my survey, which will be linked in the description. And that's my show for this week. Tune in next week to see my episode on representation of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, on television. In the meantime, if you'd like to know more about ADD and ADHD, you can click the link below in the description. I've also provided a link there describing the ways in which satirical TV portrays ADD in a more detailed way than I was able to go into in this video. Please feel free to check out all of my other videos too if you're interested in learning more about representation of mental illnesses on television. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.